Good morning, everyone. We opened the meeting at 9 o'clock, and we did the Pledge of Allegiance and went into an executive session. Now we're back public. So we'd like to have the treasurer do her report.
Make a motion to open the meeting.
Oh, excuse me. I want to make a motion to open the meeting into public session. All in favor? Aye. Brian?
Aye. Aye.
Meeting's open. Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, so today we're looking at the financials through October 31st. They currently present a net budget surplus of approximately $1.2 million. I would say that that's, pretty much remaining where it is. It's not necessarily increasing, so it does seem to indicate that our spending is in line with our anticipated expenses as we've gotten kind of into the later half of the year. I've included, it's also similar to where we were at this time last year. I've included in our treasurer's report the, anticipated 2020 purchases, the items that we had planned to purchase in 2020, and I know we made a lot of progress here. I think, the majority of these items we've purchased, and I know the last one, the accountability software, the chief's going to be talking about today. It's taken some time to get the quote from the vendor, but we're kind of right on track where we were hoping to accomplish in 2020 in terms of some of these purchases. So I think that looks, pretty good there. Not too much this time. Obviously, we're through the budget now. The budget's set for 2021. It's available on our website. It's been provided to the town. We have a stamped copy, so we've met all of our requirements there. And as we get into the end of the year, a few things still waiting to see is that NYSHIP has been very quiet on what the rates are looking like for next year. Usually by this time, we at least have their estimate of whether the rates will be increasing or decreasing and how much. But so far this year, they haven't provided anything. Once we do get those rates, we will notify all of the retirees who are paying in directly to the district, so they know their updated contributions. And then this is the time of year we issue our Medicare Part B reimbursements. So that'll be prepared for our December meeting, and those will go out after the December meeting. The other thing I would point out tonight, you'll notice in the warrants that it does include our New York State retirement bill. The invoice is for $2,178,890. That gives us a small discount if we prepay upfront by December 15th. Otherwise, you'd have to make full payment in February, so it makes sense to pay it now and take advantage of the discount. Again, that was what we expected. I mean, the estimates have been pretty spot on, and that's the bill we talked about, that next year we do expect to see a significant increase based on the rates changing, but that is the largest item we have for right now. And that's it.
All right, so we'll move on to the payment of bills. So I've been provided. The board has been supplied with 2 sets of bills and vouchers and credit card bills for the board to approve. Chief Tweem has already reviewed all prior to the meeting except the Saratori claims and those specifically marked as reviewed by the treasurer. The treasurer has requested the board to approve the following. Warrant 1, dated November 14th, 2020, $2,248,691.63. Warrant 2, dated November 14th, 2020, for $208,173.17, and a credit card bill, same date, for $1,000, $337.94, for a total of $2,458,202.74. A motion made by Commissioner Roach to pay the bills and vouchers presented, which was seconded by Commissioner Rabin. All in favor? Commissioner Keating?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo? Commissioner Roach is an aye. Commissioner Rabin?
Aye.
Commissioner Winter? Apparently, Commissioner Carlo and Commissioner Winter are absent today, but the motion carries. The bills are paid. We'll move on to the next part. And I apologize, Jamie, this has to do with you also. Is it too late to put a recruitment line in the 2021 budget?
No, it's not. We're allowed to modify our budget really, at any time that, as long as we're not increasing taxes, which we wouldn't be, we're allowed to modify our budget at any time we, have know of a new expense or have something like this where it's something else we want to contemplate in the budget. It would just be, we would either have to take it from another line or additional appropriated funds. So however we're going to fund that line, we would just have to make that clear.
It won't need very much money. It'll probably not cost much money in 2021. I think we'll prepare, if it's voted in today or within the next couple of months, I think we'll need the money for 2022 because the next class is going to be in 2023. We'd like to reach out to all of the Eastchester residents and see if they'd be interested in pursuing a career in firefighting and making it available to them so they're knowledgeable when the test is coming up, and if they need any assistance in preparing for that test, I think that'll be beneficial. So I'm just going to make a motion that we create a recruitment committee today, and that we just slowly move forward contacting high school guidance counselors and other people that might give us information to people that may not otherwise hear about the Eastchester Fire Department and the career opportunity it offers.
Yeah, so from the budget perspective, it would just be a budget modification, so we would just need you just do similar motion, say you want to add it to the budget and fund it with X amount of dollars for 2021. That's not a problem.
Thank you, Jamie. So I have some experience in recruitment with the FDNY. Commissioner Keating, would you be interested in joining a committee like that to reach out to the community and try to recruit firefighters or candidates for the firefighter test?
Absolutely.
All right, so, and I have no problem joining that committee and moving forward with it. Stu, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea.
All right, so then we're going to establish a recruitment committee, and Commissioners Roach and Commissioner Keating will be the members on that, and we'll have a roll call. Commissioner Keating?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo? Commissioner Carlo's not here. Commissioner Roach is an aye. Commissioner Rabin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rabin, and Commissioner Winter? All right, so we have the 3 votes. The resolution passes. We're going to start with a recruitment committee for next year. The next thing is we need to schedule an annual safety committee meeting. We haven't had one this year. It's in the contract that we have one every year so that the firefighters and the commissioners can get together and discuss any issues. Our last meeting was in 2020, December 2020. I'd asked that the local safety committee present the report that for the discussion at that last committee meeting. I know I asked for it at the time. We haven't seen it yet, but hopefully they'll be able to go back to their notes and put that together. Do we want to discuss a time now, or should we just put it on notice that we want to get a time and a group together?
I'll contact the committee chair and have him contact.
Thank you very much, Steve. All right, so we'll, and of course, before the end of the year.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
So we fulfill that obligation to have our annual safety committee meeting. All right, Chief's report.
Thank you, Commissioner. The October 2020 monthly activity report, 267 alarms, 8 were fire-related, 135 were EMS or rescue-related. We gave mutual aid 4 times, 2 times to the city of New Rochelle and 2 times to the city of Mount Vernon. Maintenance mechanic Tim Dalton has provided a detailed maintenance report, which was emailed to the board. Vehicle maintenance continues through the use of outside vendors. The cracked frame found on engine 29 looks like it will be repaired under warranty. They have a lifetime warranty on the frame as long as there was no vehicle damage due to an accident or corrosion. And at this time, it doesn't look like either of those are a problem. We checked with our insurance company. We've had no claims for engine 29s for accidents, so we're pretty confident it should be covered under warranty. It'll probably still be a few months. They said when we brought it there, it would take about 3 weeks to put us in the repair queue. They said if we brought it there and they had an opening, they'd try to squeeze us in sooner. So that's why the engine's at the factory now. As of right now, they haven't started work on it, but hopefully in the next few weeks, and then it'll probably take a few weeks to get the work done. Now that the Pierce Ladder 16 is in service and the 2002 Seagrave ladder truck has become the new spare, I would recommend to the board that, as in the past, the 1988 Seagrave, which is the former spare truck, should be surplused as auctioned off or gotten rid of for scrap value. In the past, when we auctioned off some of the fire trucks, the older ones didn't bring much more than scrap value. So if you want me to go through one of the websites, auction website, we've done that with vehicles and apparatus in the past few years, or we could just scrap it if we don't think we're going to get that much money. The ladder is not functional. The PTO gear needs to be replaced. It's a several $1,000 job. So we were not going to put money into an apparatus we knew we were going to get rid of.
Chief, I have one question for you. Do you think that some firefighting museum might be interested? It's 32 years old, is it, or?
It's a 1988, so yeah, it's...
32, 33 years old?
I mean,
after 20, they're considered antiques.
I mean, I know there's a fire museum in New York City, there's one in Baltimore, but they don't really have apparatus. It's more the older, like Revolutionary War type apparatus and the old steam horse-drawn ones. It takes up a lot of space. It's a 100-foot rear mount aerial, so the museum would have to have a lot of space to have a static display that size. I mean, I could try to research it and, you know, Google fire museums, but I think it'd be hard pressed to find a place that would want it, but I can make that effort if you like.
No, if you don't think it's fruitful, then that's fine.
Just because it's so large, you know, it's, you know.
Maybe some museum will hear this meeting and
Yeah, perhaps they can contact us at our website, eastchesterfd.com. There's a spot on there to contact us. They can always send an email, and, you know, we could reply if anybody's interested in it. The old engine, I think we got, you know, the one that we had bought from Fairview, I think we got $2,600 for it approximately. The newer one, the American LaFrance, which was only 18 years old, I believe we got $4,600 or $7,600. So we don't get a lot of money for them. When I call the scrap yards, they only give you about $100 a pound or a ton because fire trucks are steel and aluminum, and they have to spend a lot of manual labor to separate the various metals. So because it's so labor intensive for the scrap yards, we don't get a lot of money as scrap value. So
You have a value, like an estimate?
it would just be a guess, you know. The ladder is steel, so, you know, the 100-foot aerial, you know, that would be, I would imagine, based on the size of the other trucks, it probably weighs about 50,000 pounds. You know, some of it's aluminum, some of it's steel. So, you know, whatever it is, 25 tons, so $100 times 25.
Do whatever's the most efficient. Do you need our directive, or do you?
No, as long as you give me permission to surplus it, then I'll figure out a way to get rid of it.
And then just notify the insurance company?
Yep.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Okay. Fire prevention and code enforcement activities continue with numerous plan reviews and inspections. The October fire prevention report was emailed to the board. Currently, 2 members are out on long-term absence. 1 member continues to work on restricted duty, and 1 member has resigned effective November 1st to pursue a career in another fire department. The 3 candidates enrolled in the Career Chiefs Fire Academy are doing well. The academy was on a 2-week remote learning session and has now resumed to in-person training this past Tuesday. The department was represented at the annual Eastchester Veterans Day ceremony with the veterans at the Leroy Gregory Post. It was a very small ceremony, and we had on-duty and off-duty members. I'd just like to say thank you to the veterans for their service, and thank you to the members for attending. I asked the board to approve the purchase of a Motorola Personal Accountability proposal at New York State contract pricing PT 68722 for $89,750. This money was designated in the 2020 budget for this purchase. The contract details were emailed to the board. Basically, when we lost the assistant chief's position, we lost an accountability person at the fire scene. So now, with, you know, the chaos of a fire scene, we want to try to use technology to keep track of our members. It's a safety issue. It would help me and the captains keep track of people to do an accountability. Right now, that could take 5 minutes to have everybody respond on the radio. This, they would just simply have to key the mic, and it would pop up on a laptop that would give us a green light that that person is accounted for. I also asked the board to approve the installation of a Niederman diesel system, exhaust system for the Tuckahoe Firehouse engine bay and the shop at fire headquarters. The quote is $32,800 and includes the removal of the system from the shop. That may be incorrect. I have to get my...
Well, that's fine. We'll adjust it when I read the resolution.
Okay. And the board was emailed a proposal with two options for Sullivan Data on October 15th for wireless and firewall at fire headquarters. So I would ask that they move forward with one of those options. That's the end of the report.
All right, thanks for your report. Any discussions?
I would make a motion to formally allow the surplus of the 88 Seagrave, either through an auction or scrap, whatever the chief finds to be more financially beneficial to the district.
I'll
We should have
second that motion.
on the record that we're approving the surplus.
Very good. Commissioner Keating?
Aye.
Commissioner Roach is an aye. Commissioner Raven?
Aye.
So you have board approval to use your best judgment on getting rid of that. So then we'll move on to the resolution contracting for the Niederman exhaust system parts without competitive proposals from a sole source supplier. Basically, this is required by OSHA and NIOSHA, I'm assuming, that we have to have
It would
these
be an
systems.
NFPA standard, to, but it prevents cancer. Diesel fumes, diesel exhaust fumes are cancer-causing. Firefighters are exposed to enough cancer causings. So any place that we can reduce the exposure to cancer-causing fumes, we do it. We put these Niederman systems into our firehouses probably about 15 or maybe more years ago. So we have to stick with that brand, and there's only one supplier in our area. They're in New Jersey. They cover the tri-state area.
Thank you, Chief. So I have only one question. You gave us one quote because I was curious about, or you wanted to move it down to Chester Heights when it's done, and that quote came out about $5,000, maybe $6,000. What do you think it would cost to put its own system, a flexible system that disconnects on its own in Chester Heights?
Well, there's one there now for engine 30. So the question is, do you want to put a second one? So the parts that we have in the shop, we're going to get moved down there to create a second one. So if we're not going to run an engine and a truck out of Chester Heights, then we could probably just modify the existing one in Chester Heights, because it's the one that,
So it's the correct version already.
It's correct.
So, and we're going to have vehicles going, or apparatus going in and out of the shop on a regular basis, so we really should keep that one there so that it's protecting the members there whenever we have vehicles coming in and out of there, correct?
Well, until Chester Heights is done, the ladder truck is going to be responding out of the shop. But after that, they usually are just working on the rigs in the shop. That's why there was a static one. There's a hose you pull down and you connect to the
But they have to
exhaust.
get into the shop and they have to come out of the shop, right? So why
Yeah,
don't we just
yeah, so that
leave
would
the,
be-
I think we should go to all the automatic disconnects and
track system.
and it'll avoid any accidents or anything like that. So if we could leave that in the shop, and then if we need to put another one in, would I be correct to assume that it'd be like $8,000 or $9,000 to get a one in Chester Heights?
It would be very similar to the quote they gave us for the Tuckahoe Firehouse, because we have one there that's
$8,000,
static,
perfect.
and so it'd be about
It's really only a
$8,500.
$3,000 difference. We'd actually pay $3,000 more and actually have a second, an extra Niedermeyer in one of our shops. All right, so that's what we'll do. So we'll address Chester Heights when it's finished, and right now we'll get the one for Tuckahoe and for the shops. So is everyone okay with me moving forward on this resolution? All right. Whereas the Eastchester Fire District desires to purchase a Niederman exhaust system parts, and whereas Air Purifiers Incorporated is the sole source financial dealer in this area, by proposal dated October 14th, 2020, copy which is attached here too and made part thereof, has notified the fire district that it will provide such parts and services for the price of $27,300, which price does require competitive bidding pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 103. Now therefore, it be resolved by the Fire District in the regular session duly convened by the Fire Chief be, and he hereby authorized to contract for the said project with air purifiers at a price of $27,300 in accordance with the attached proposal, all without advertising for sealed bids as authorized by State Controller Opinion 67-558 in situations where items can be purchased from only one source and without the necessity of competitive bidding in accordance with the General Municipal Law, Section 103. I'll make a motion to approve this. Can I have a second? And Commissioner Keating? Aye. Commissioner Roach is an aye. Commissioner Raven? Aye. Very good. All three ayes. That's passed. Thank you, Chief. Anything else?
Well, the accountability system,
You want to go with that? All right.
We have the budget.
What do you think of the accountability system? Would you like us to move forward with that, Commissioner Keating?
I think if it saves lives and make sure nobody gets left behind, then we should.
Very good. I don't have that resolution. Let me see if I have a price for it.
89,000, right, Chief?
Yeah,
It's in the report there.
89,750, Tom.
Yep, okay. So the chief has asked the board to purchase an automatic recall, thank you, chief, an automatic recall machine, accountability machine, so that at fires and emergencies, he can contact and make sure that everyone's on their feet and can trigger the microphone signifying that they are active and alert. So I will make a motion that the board approve this Motorola personal accountability recall machine, and I will poll, I'll ask for a second.
I'll second that, Tom.
Okay, and I'll poll both. Commissioner Keating? Aye. Commissioner Roach is an aye. Commissioner Raven? Aye. Okay.
Commissioner, the only thing is they usually mention the state contract number, which is in my report. If you look under item 7, it's New York State contract.
Thank you. Okay, so the board has approved the purchase of a Motorola personal accountability proposal at the New York State contract number PT68722, the pricing of $89,750, money already designated in the 2020 budget. Thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate you looking out for me. $89,750. So we'll move on to, well, we discussed the maintenance mechanic in executive session. We've update on Chester Heights apparatus floor. We met with our architect. We discussed the lowest bid. We contacted them. They have now backed out. We are now in the progress of contacting, and we already are in contact with the second lowest bid, and then we're going to interview them hopefully on Monday and move forward on that. So hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have that more positive news for you. Report from Ethics Council. We sent a couple of things to Ethics Council the last couple of months. He has reported back on some of the items, specifically about commissioners voting if they have family members on the list, and since we have Commissioner Winter and myself on the list, have family members on the list, we are going to have to abstain from many of those kinds of discussions as long as that conflict remains. We also had a Commissioner Foyle, so last month we had sent that Foyle request to our Ethics Council. I have not heard back on him from that, so I'll assume that he either has dealt with that or will be in touch with us shortly. All right, so the Fire Board of Election report from co-election officials, and I know I'm going to turn it over to Stu because he has a resolution to make.
Yeah, we have a contract that's been provided us by our election representatives on behalf of the district that we need to enter into. It's a contract with the County of Westchester for the provision of the voting machines for the election on December 8th. It only requires us to just have this executed and notarized. The contract is very straightforward as far as how many machines we're getting, the locations, our responsibility in providing insurance, and I would make a motion to empower the deputy chairman to execute these documents so that we can get that done as swiftly as possible. We will be using Ron's Trucking Corporation for the transportation aspect of the contract. We are required to get our own vendor to take the election machines from county possession into our own and then return them. So we do have a rough estimate. We have a formal estimate actually from Ron's Trucking of $1,500 that we're going to be moving forward with, and I would make a motion to execute the contract with the county.
So we have a first from Stu. Do we have a second? All right, and then I'll, and of course, normally the chairman would do this, but he's not here today, and we can't delay this. It has to be done, so I'll vote, even though I'm making myself the signatory. All right, so Commissioner Keating?
Aye.
Commissioner Roach is an aye?
Aye.
So I will do that. You'll explain how to do it, and I'll take care of it and get it back to the chief or Liz. And our co-election officials are doing excellent job. They were just asked a couple of months ago to take this on, and they've jumped in, and the election's going smoothly so far. Hopefully continue in that direction. Anything else? I think, did you want to speak to us about the election?
Commissioner Roach, it's Hazel Alexander Campbell. May I speak in regard to the election?
Please do, Ms. Campbell. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry. Please.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I have sent a couple of emails in regard to, I did send you guys a list of certified election inspectors. But with COVID numbers on the rise, I strongly suggest that the board approves us to at least pay minimum wage to our inspectors. So Chief Tween has looked up and sent to me as well as everyone else that the minimum wage for New York is $13 an hour. And I've made my first call to inspectors, so I would like to make the second call to put people in place. What people will be asking me in regard to, the wages, the pay. So is there any way that we can get approval from the board to at least pay $13 an hour to these inspectors?
Any thoughts?
If we are not allowed to do it statutorily, I don't see how we can.
Who was speaking? Can someone tell me?
My apologies, Hazel. That was Commissioner Keating.
Okay, so Commissioner Keating, I believe that I have sent quite a bit of emails in regard to inspectors that have informed me that in previous years they have worked the double shifts. I think with the COVID numbers, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. We have got to put people in place, and we need to be able to have these people work at least a minimum of $13 an hour.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Campbell. And there's no doubt that you sent us several emails regarding this because I answered them a half a dozen times. And I always said the same thing. We are forced to obey the law. And I agree with you. This was an oversight. the legislator got together and they raised the polling of inspectors' pay to $350 for the general election, and yet they left the fire district's pay at $50 per election. I've given you this answer several times. I wish I could give you another answer, Hazel, but it's not possible. There is no other answer. 3.5 hours, $50. Anything under 3 hours, $35. That's for the day. If there's a way that we can pay them for coming for swearing in, I don't know that. I would be willing to. Do you know that?
Yeah, we do. They do
Yes,
that.
All right, 1 second. We're going to get an answer. Thank you, Hazel. Please be patient.
Yeah, so in the past, we have paid a separate fee for those who choose to attend the night before there's a swearing-in session. It's not mandatory because a lot of these people already know what to do, but if they do show up to the swearing-in the night before, they received an extra $10. And that is correct.
Can we increase that more than $10?
That we can set.
That was something that I was.
That's at our discretion. So that's what we've done historically.
We can consider an attendance fee on the night before to increase that, as that is within our auspices.
Right, and that's
Perfect.
also if you felt, if people were doing things other than just working the poll, if they were cleaning up, if they were, whatever, setting up, whatever it is, those are the items that are within your discretion. But for working the polls, regardless of how long, even if they choose to do a double shift, it's $50. Unfortunately, that's what the law section says.
Thank you, Jamie.
But that's what I was going to say, is that's what I need to know, because those checks have to be written prior to the election, because they're handed out that day. So I don't know when this board is planning to meet next, but if this is the only meeting before the election, we do need to figure that out now.
We're going to settle this today. Thank you, Jamie. So,
Okay.
so Hazel, you heard that?
Commissioner Roach, I did not hear a word of that. Jamie is very muffled.
Okay, well,
I cannot
she's wearing,
hear
thank you.
say.
She's wearing her mask. I will repeat what she said, and then you can give us a nod whether you think it's sufficient.
Okay.
And I'm not going to repeat what she said verbatim. I'm going to interpret it and then make a resolution out of it.
Okay.
Okay, so I believe that the fire district has the authority to offer each polling election official that comes to our swearing-in ceremony, and I hope that 100% of them will come. I understand that many of them know it, and it's a training session also, but I hope that 100% of them will come, and I believe that we can pay them $50 for attending that. Would that be correct? I'm not overstepping my boundaries. And then, of course, hopefully, I don't know if you've already committed to only 20 and they have to do 7-hour shifts, or if they can do 3.5-hour shifts. I mean, I'll let you work that out, Hazel. But for the election day, they will get paid $50 if they work over 3 hours. And it's from 2 to 9, of course. The night before, which is December 7th in the Tuckville Community Center. And Hazel, have you reserved that room already?
I think Elizabeth did. Did you, Elizabeth?
Yes, everyone, yes.
Thank you, Liz.
Yes,
I did not know
Elizabeth.
you were here. I
Yes,
appreciate
I'm here. I'm
your
just
work also.
Quiet and listening, that's all.
And if you need anything of us, please ask today, because
Thank you.
like Jamie said, we probably won't have much time prior to the election to get together again.
Okay.
So Commissioner, just so I understand, because the phone call is very muffled. Just so I understand, we could pay $50 for December 7th, and then $50 for the inspectors to work, correct?
That is
We
absolutely
need to
correct.
vote on it first.
Well, we're going to vote on it, but
Okay.
that's what we're going to vote on. Yes, you are correct.
Okay, so I have one more question before you take the vote. The other question is, if Jamie can answer this as well. I had a couple of inspectors did tell me that they did double shifts. So I am looking for some of these inspectors to work from 2 to 9. Are we able to give these inspectors 2 checks?
No.
If they
Hazel.
work 2 to 9,
Everything over 3 hours is limited to $50 pay.
okay, so they would be able to get, I'm just asking if they're able to get 2 checks.
Well,
I have-
if they attend the training swearing in ceremony on December 7th, they will get a check for that, and they'll get one check of $50 if they've worked over 3 hours on December 8th. They cannot
Okay,
get
all
two
right.
checks for December 8th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much.
In the past, there have been people that helped set up and close down. Those people did receive more than the $50.
Did you
I-
hear
I-
that, Hazel?
I did not. It's
Are you
very much-
planning to use any auxiliary people to help you set up Election Day? Or to
I-
clean up afterwards?
Yes, I have asked a couple people to help set up, and I have some people who have agreed to do that. And what will the pay be for them?
So they will get an additional check of $50? Is that what it is?
Well, that was just a one-time thing.
All right, why don't we go with $13 an hour for that?
Okay, so we will go with $13 an hour for the people that are helping me to set up.
And take down and whatever work.
Yes, but I think what you're trying
Right.
to explain is that it's $13 only for those hours, not 13 hours for.
Okay.
So we just need to make sure that it is clear in the motion, and then we'll explain it to the election people after.
So $13 only for the hours that they work to help set up and take down, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you-
Commission,
Yes,
can
Liz.
just to confirm the time for the Tuckahoe Community Center the night before the election?
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
That-
Your choice. What time do you want to have that?
I think that, we had it before at 7. I think that I will change that to 6 o'clock.
6 p.m. till when?
Not sure. I'm not sure when it'll end, Liz.
So
it
6
won't
to
be
9,
long.
6 to 10, I mean,
I'll say 6 to 10, okay.
perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Liz. and-
Thank
and
you.
Hazel. All right, so please
Thank
correct me
you.
if I make a mistake here.
It's not gonna be an issue for Jamie if you do an hourly rate. She said she may need to cut the checks. If you did a lump sum, she would know exactly how much.
Those will get paid after.
Do you want to,
$13
Commissioner.
an hour at the date, right?
Yeah.
Commissioner, can you,
No, why can't we make them after the election for the 13 hours
We can
extra?
catch up with
Yeah.
everybody after.
Yeah, that's all.
Hazel?
I didn't hear that.
The treasurer has a question for you. If we go to $13 an hour, those people will not be able to receive their check that day because she won't be able to cut them in advance. Is that an issue, or do you think that's acceptable? Or would we be better off just saying they'll probably work 2 hours in the beginning and 2 hours at the end, and we'll give them $25 lump sum? Which would you prefer?
Are we talking about the people that are setting up and taking down? Am I correct?
That is correct. That's all we're talking about. Those specific 2 or 3 people.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think that would be an issue with them, at all.
I propose 2 things for you. Please, give me your preference, which you would prefer.
After you speak.
Hazel?
You know, what I would prefer, yes, I would prefer to pay them, on Tuesday the 8th for whatever work that they did on the 7th.
Okay,
Is that
so,
okay?
okay, very good. All right. So,
Okay.
Commissioner, can you just announce, please, it's coming in very muffled, the location of the voting center and the time of the voting center, and the date again, please.
Is the resident for their name and,
who is this speaking?
I'm a resident of the town, Commissioner, and I'm listening to it, and it's coming in awful muffled,
no,
so
he
I'm sure
does-
people, if I'm hearing it,
right, the chairman is asking, we want, if you're speaking, we just want to hear your name and address.
my name is Michael, and I live in the Chester Heights section of Eastchester.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael, and I apologize, but that has been posted. It was in the paper November 11th, the paper of record. I do not have that in front of me, so I cannot announce that for you. I apologize. But I can tell you where the polling locations are, and they're going to be very similar to last year's. The Leroy Gregory is the polling station for the north end. The Tuckahoe Community Center is the polling location for that area. The Eastchester Library, the Eastchester Public Library, is the polling location for the center of town. And Bronxville is the Bronxville Village Hall is the polling location for the residents of Bronxville. Does that help, Michael?
So if you live in the town, if you live in Chester Heights, it will be the Eastchester Library?
That is correct. I believe that is correct.
Okay, and the date would be December 8th?
Tuesday, December 8th, between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Michael. Thank you.
Some people down here are confused about it, and some people haven't read the paper, so that's why I just want to bring it out. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, so resolution time.
Why don't we do one at a time?
Very
Instead
good.
of one big resolution, that way it's clear.
And then we don't even have to do the polling election. They're guaranteed 50. All we have to do is say that we're going to.
Yeah, all you have to do is worry about the night before's training and
And
the
the setup.
additional hourly rate for those who help with the administration of the election.
So we're going to do two resolutions right now. The first resolution is to pay every polling election official who comes to the training swearing-in ceremony at Tuckahoe Community Center at 6 p.m. will receive payment of $50. That check will be cut, and they will receive that as long as they attend on December 7th at 6 p.m. Tuckahoe Community Center. They will receive that, Hazel said, on Election Day. And then there are certain people who have volunteered to help our co-election officials set up and take down and clean up the polling locations and keep them sanitized. And we are willing to pay them a lump sum of $25 for doing that. So there'll be 4 or 5 additional members that Hazel will give that information to Jamie so she can cut the accurate checks. Is that an official resolution?
That's
All right, so I made that resolution. Stu Rabin, Commissioner Rabin has seconded. Commissioner Keating?
Aye. Commissioner
Commissioner Roach is an aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Rabin's an aye. So that resolution is full. We will pay $50 for the swearing-in training session, $25 to help our co-election officials set up and clean up, and they get their regular $50 polling official fee on that day. How does that sound, Hazel?
Okay, Commissioner, that's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a nice day. And any other questions, Liz or Hazel?
No, thank you.
All right.
Nope, good. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. All right, so
Jamie, do you have anything to say for the election? No? Okay.
should at this time, should we discuss the request that Commissioner Winter sent to the board by email that the Bronxville Village has requested to use the firehouse for next March's, do you want to have a discussion on that still?
Sure, we can talk about it.
What do you think?
We did it this year. It worked out fine. However, the chief was trying to be smart about it, that in light of COVID, he did shut down the house because of the number of people who were going to be coming onto the apparatus floor and voting. So I would leave it up to the chief to use best judgment. I mean, we don't know where we'll be in March of 2021, which is when the village wants to use the house. But everyone needs to be fully aware in advance that another election in that house may cause for the engine to be moved that day. And depending on weather, it doesn't mean that the engine will just be sitting outside somewhere. So if the board would like to move on that, and everyone in the district and the department understand that that house would be closed that day, then sure, I have no problem with it.
Do you want to speak on this, Chief?
Thank you. So this past election, which was delayed due to COVID, it was held later in the year than it normally is, we did move the personnel out after change of shift. I believe the election starts at 6 a.m., but the members change shift at 8 a.m. Usually they come in a little bit early. So we told them once they, get their gear and they get everything set up on the apparatus to come up to either the Tuckahoe Firehouse or the headquarters, just so they would not be exposed to potentially hundreds of people coming into the firehouse all day long and to reduce their exposure to COVID. And I would do the same thing in March because I don't anticipate widespread vaccines being out at that point. So we would do the same thing as Commissioner Raven said. We would relocate the engine for the day, either to headquarters or Tuckahoe if it was cold out because of the temperature, but just so the personnel are not exposed to the public.
But you have no objections for allowing the village to use the firehouse?
Yes, no.
How many members do you have to relocate?
Just two for the hours of the election. So from, when we come on duty at 8 a.m., they'd be relocated until, I believe it closes at 9 p.m., but don't quote me on that. So then they would come back to the firehouse at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Local 916, do you have a comment on the,
The only comment is, these are firehouses, not gathering rooms. That's what they should be used for. It's a shame that this village doesn't have somewhere else they could hold their election, but they should not be in the firehouses. Those are manned. There's dormitories there. We have our personal items, and I believe the public shouldn't be invited in to vote or for any other reason. These are working firehouses. We wouldn't go to your office and hold an election in your office and throw you out. So I don't know why they can't pick another location.
Thanks, Steve. No, I thought we're going to take a vote on it.
to do it?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you said, Steve, and I appreciate it for sure. That's why I give you the opportunity to speak. I mean, we are having, I just announced that we're having our elections here. I think the reason is for some neutrality, is why they asked for the firehouse, but maybe we can ask the administration of Bronxville Village to consider what you said next time. And in that fact, I will also encourage anyone in the Bronxville Village, the mayor down, if they ever want to contact or have a question or request for the fire commissioners, please feel free to use the commissioners at Eastchester Fire Department email to contact us and make any of those requests. But I will make a resolution that we will allow the Bronxville Firehouse to be used in the Bronxville Village elections in March of 2021, if in fact we do have those elections. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Keating?
Aye.
Commissioner Roach is an aye,
Sure.
and Commissioner Raven's an aye. So I will notify Mayor Marvin that she can go forward with that, and we'll allow her to use our firehouse in March. But we will ask her to consider Local 916's view on it, and if there is another public space where they can use for their elections in the future, we would ask them to consider those. And so where are we now? All right, so now, last month we talked about this briefly, and it basically was an email that Commissioner Winter wrote in 2014 and then resent to the board. And basically the conversation is, he wants to know how come we never go to the resident, why we always go to the residents only list, and why he's never been given the opportunity to select firefighters from the entire Westchester firefighter list. That's an interesting question, because in 2016 he had a choice of which list to choose, and obviously we're using a residential list. So in the future, and again, this is not binding. This has, basically it has more to do with the political climate, not that the fire board is well, it's a political agency because we're elected officials, but we try to be political neutral. But there's a lot of talk in the country about privilege and discrimination, and so some members of the Eastchester Fire Board thought it would be appropriate that we try to address these if necessary. So at this time, we're going to vote to decide that the 2023 Westchester firefighter test, the entire Westchester list we won't just remain a residential list, but we'll open up the list to the entire county. Again, I would have preferred to allow the residents of Eastchester to vote on this, but that's not given to us. Our legal counsel told us that this is in the realm of the commissioner's duty and that we have to vote on it. And we just celebrated Veterans Day. And when we open up this list to the entire county, we're really opening it up to veterans. Because any veteran that gets 100 on the firefighter's test in 2023 will be then given veterans points. He'll get 105 on the test, and or her, him and her, and they'll be on the top of the list. And I think that's a good thing to do, to give our veterans the opportunity at a great career in civil service. They've already proven themselves on the battlefield. I know they'll probably make excellent firefighters, so I have no problem offering this resolution to the fire board is deciding that in 2023 that we will open up the firefighters list to entire Westchester County. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, and Commissioner Keating?
Aye.
Commissioner Roach is an aye. Commissioner Rabin? Aye. So that also has been concluded. That, and again, this is not binding. As I said last meeting, the board at 2023 will decide which box they want to check. But as a board now, we would have said, had we been given the option, we would have went countywide and given some of our veterans who've been fighting foreign wars for the last 20 years an opportunity for a great job. All right, so commissioners' reports?
No, I just wanted to talk about opening the election for Bronxville, which you took care of earlier, Tom.
Okay.
I don't have much of a report. I just had a question. Did we want to hold off on the quote regarding the firewall and everything for the next meeting for the department? I just want to make sure that we're going to hold off on that.
I mean, if I could, I obviously previewed it on the Chromebook, and I looked at it a little bit here, but without my magnifying glasses, even this one. I mean, it's not abstentions. If you wanted to move forward and you thought it was imperative.
I think the information's fine. I was,
Oh,
I
wait,
looked it over.
we should wait till the next
But we
month
can
for
wait.
me.
Yeah, we can wait till December, it's
Just wait.
fine. I mean, our next meeting, right, is going to be,
December 10th, right?
yeah, it's generally the Thursday
evening.
after the election. So that's generally our next meeting. So we could, bring it up then.
You got it timed to do 7 o'clock?
Yeah,
7
that's
p.m.?
that's probably fine. Other than that, no, again, thank you to our veterans, and thanks for the department, and that's short and sweet this time around.
Comments from 916? Comments from the public? Thank you, sir.
Hi, everyone. As always, thanks for doing what you do. Appreciate it. One little
Name and
comment.
address, please, sir.
What's that?
Name and address?
Oh, yeah, Jeff Zuckerman. I live in Tuckahoe, 24 Bronx Street.
Thank you for coming, Jeff.
You bet, thanks. I have a couple of things. First of all, on the agenda, I just want to point out that logically speaking, agendas in most municipalities and other places have an opportunity for the public to address the board on agenda items at the beginning of the meeting. So before you take your vote, we get to comment on what you're going to vote on, rather than after you've already voted. It just makes sense. So there's usually a line at the beginning of the meeting saying, there's opportunity for public to discuss, to address the board on agenda items, And then later on, now, at the end of the meeting, there's other items. It just logically makes sense. I just want you to consider that. That's all. Now, a couple other things. I know Commissioner Winter's not here, but I need to address this. Way back in January, February, when you looked to hire, and you didn't hire, Commissioner Winter, Commissioner Carlo, Commissioner Keating decided not to hire. And Commissioner Winter at that time said, I don't have the quote with me, but I can't find it. He said, there is absolutely no evidence of there being any savings in overtime when you add firefighters. Those were his words. And so he voted no. He said, let's just do the overtime business, and we'll save, I don't know, whatever we decided, $250,000 for 3 new people. Okay, then we got to that summer meeting, and you guys hired 3 new people. And Commissioner Keating, voted no, but Commissioner Winter and Commissioner Carlo voted yes. And I was just wondering if they were here now, I would ask them, what was it that changed from February to July or August or whenever that meeting was, September, where they said, there's no evidence that we're going to save anything in overtime. Now, at that exact same meeting, when Jamie said there would be about $250,000 for 3 new firefighters that you hired, Chief Tween said, and I quote, if I had just had those 3 guys all year, we would have saved $250,000 in overtime. Those were the words he used. I don't have the tape with me, but that's certainly public record. So I just want you to know that I will continue to be here every month or every 2 months. We will go over this, and because the 3 new guys are coming on board when? 3 new firefighters, I should say. When are they coming on board?
December, I think, Chief?
December 18th, I believe.
December 18th, they'll do a week of straight days, and they'll
Right.
around Christmas.
So sometime around the beginning of the year, we're getting our 3 new people. We're adding $250,000 to the budget, and I want you to know that myself and other members of the public will be solidly looking forward to the $250,000 in savings in overtime during the next calendar year, 2021. And we'll be here. Do we have the number now, Jamie, how much the overtime budget is right now, up to this point?
What we used to be,
Yeah, this year so far.
that's 585,000.
No, it's more than that, right?
580? 588 right now. Okay. So whatever it is by the end of the year, we have another couple of months, another month and a half, and then I guess next year to be down in the 400 range, something like that. So that would be great to look forward to, and we'll be looking for that. And finally, my last item that I want to bring up. I think it's just not sustainable for Commissioner Roach not to vote on things. I don't understand. I could carry out this idea that anyone with somebody on the list, a relative on the list, can't vote on things, to virtually anything that you guys vote on. We could carry it out to the nth degree that, because I have someone on the list, I can't vote on that, because it'll make it better for firemen. So if it's better for the firefighters, then better for the firefighters, then they're going to stay longer. And if they're going to stay longer because we made anything better for firefighters, I can't vote on that because I have a child on the list, and therefore he may never get his. If firefighters stay longer, then we'll never call his name. It could be anything. It could be fixing a firehouse. It could be something that protects them from cancer, from fumes. There's no end to what it can be. Not just budgets. You can't vote on the budget. I would say that the single most important thing you guys have to do is hash out a budget and vote on it. So if you can't vote on the budget, you and Commissioner Winter, and you can't vote on the buyout that you've been kicking around for a while, which didn't come up today, okay? Then these are like really important matters. We had an incident in Tuckahoe recently. They took down a 110-year-old smokestack that was connected to something in the village of Tuckahoe. Beautiful, historic item. But there was a building built, and the people in the building didn't want to look at the smokestack anymore. So a commissioner on the planning board said, I can't vote on taking this down because my son is one of the people in the building who's looking at the smokestack. So it's not appropriate for me to vote on that because my own son is one of the people that wants the smokestack down or up, whatever. It didn't matter. But that was a direct issue, a direct consequence of having someone in that building. I would argue, and let me ask you something. Did attorneys tell you point blank that you cannot vote on a buyout? Did they tell you that, Tom?
In my interpretation, yes.
So, okay, would it be possible for me to speak to that attorney? Is that okay? I'm a member of the public, and I find it impossible to believe that you can't vote. I want to hear the attorney tell me, no, impossible, I can never vote on a buyout.
It doesn't work that way. What you could do is you could foil the district for a copy of the attorney's opinion, and you could read that. But you can't contact our attorneys to discuss fire district.
Okay, I appreciate that, Stu.
So,
and is it also your interpretation that you can never vote on a budget?
no.
Well, I did not interpret that, but now you have me wondering that you stated that was a specific statement you made. And I'm not disagreeing with you, Jeff. I think that you're right, that I have to consider whether, because I have younger children, whether they're going to take the 2023 test or not, because or I don't run for election, because you're right, my hands are tied and I can't make my decisions based on what I think is best for the district. And that is unfortunate because it could be interpreted as me doing something, just like you said, I won't vote on this smokestack coming down because my son said he wants it down. And I don't want to feel like I'm given an unfair advantage. But I think I'm restricted, this is my personal interpretation from what the Ethics Council wrote, I'm restricted from making decisions based on increasing staffing, potentially increasing, going deeper into the list, and things like that.
I think, Tom, I don't want you to put it in a way that deviates from what was said, and I don't want, because Tom is he wants to be all encompassing of what happened, but let's be if you forgive me, just for a minute. The Ethics Council was engaged to ask a question, firstly, about hiring in general. The Ethics Council attorney came back and said that Mr. Roach and Mr. Winter should not vote on hiring for those people who would be in direct competition with those children on the list, or if that vote would then make their children reachable on the list. So Mr. Roach and Mr. Winter were both allowed to ethically participate in the hiring of the people above them at the beginning, because we had so many hundreds and so few spaces that we were filling, that since we filled 3, there was still a large enough buffer that we couldn't get to the next grade down, which is where one of their children was, and then several grades below that is another child.
And that makes total sense.
So that's where we're at. However, the issue that was raised about the buyouts is where the Ethics Council came back and basically said, if you release a buyout and enough firefighters take advantage of this opportunity, the district would find itself needing to hire more firefighters than would probably be assumed if it was a natural progression, and it would put at least one of those children in the group that we'd have to hire from. So the Ethics Council's opinion was, if you're voting for a buyout and therefore allowing your child to be reachable, then you are doing what we originally said, which was that fine line of vote until your child is in the group and then recuse yourself. By voting on the buyout, the ethics council was saying that that could be the mechanism that could put your child in the group. So they said, err on the side of caution, stay out of it. That's basically what the opinion was.
Okay.
So that is the reason why. Now, if both commissioners had children on the list and they were, let's say, below the grade of 60, a buyout would not pull them into the group unless 90% of our fire department left. But by offering a buyout and possibly losing 4 to 5 firefighters, one of those children could possibly come into the group. That was their opinion on that, which you could foil, and our attorney would look at it and make sure.
I don't need to foil that. That explanation is excellent.
Can I
okay?
ask
And I
a
appreciate
question,
that.
Jeff?
I appreciate that. It's a great explanation, makes sense, it's logical, and I totally understand it.
Jeff, can
I will say this, Tom, I just want to point this out. By voting today on opening up the list to more people, it could be said that you're going in the other direction. It could be said that you've maybe opened it up to people that will prevent your child from
Absolutely.
being called sooner. So, I don't know.
Or I felt we were going to get better qualified candidates.
I see what you're getting at. Unfortunately, that list has not been created yet because it's based upon a test that will happen in the future.
Right.
We're bound by this current list, but yes, what that would do by him pushing that forward and increasing the population,
Right.
it would probably root out a lot of those conflicts, really, unless one of the commissioners up here had a son or daughter who scored 100 or above, depending if they receive a veteran's credit. Because it'll pull the list and make it longer. That's what happened, but you're right. It's going in the opposite direction, but it doesn't affect the current list, which it doesn't remediate that conflict issue.
What it really does is demonstrates Tom's honesty and fairness.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I
it really
understand.
does.
It's just frustrating to see, there's only 5 commissioners. It's not like you have 17. 5, and you take out 1. I mean, we're down to what feels like sometimes not enough representation, that's all. You know,
So
it's unfortunate.
As a
Thanks
resident.
to again for that great explanation.
Well, I have a
I
question
appreciate
for
it.
you, Mr. Zuckerman. As a resident, given the fact that, the firefighters don't have to take the opportunity, it's optional. You feel as a resident that it would be okay for someone like Tom to vote for the buyout? Me as a resident, not as a commissioner, I feel Tom will be fine to do it.
Yeah, I totally think he's fine. That's one of the reasons I stood up here.
I agree too.
I wish he would. I mean, but I understand the logic, and, to me, it's always been, this whole thing with police, with firemen, it's always been like, is it your child that we're voting on tonight? If we're not voting on your child tonight, you don't have to take yourself out of it, but that's...
Well, I thank everyone, Jeff and the board, for their support. But there was, and Stu's, like you said, excellent explanation of it, reminded me of a quote that really made up my mind for me. The Ethics Council quoted a former Supreme Court justice, and he says, you don't want to create a situation where the perception of scandal so even if there was pure motives, if someone could say, oh, those are impure motives, you don't even want to do that, and that's why I decided to go to the higher standard. That's what he called for. Elected officials should move for the highest standard, and that's what I want to move at, because I don't want anyone to look and say, oh, he's acting in a certain way because he's trying to do something dubious for himself. And it's difficult, and you're right. Everything you said is 100% correct, and I feel that. I feel that I've made myself, it's harder to make good, clean decisions because I have to abstain.
If I may just continue for one, the only thing is, Tom, there may be like a bigger issue. The bigger issue of the whole fire district, the whole town of Eastchester, looking perhaps for a buyout. So it's this little issue of yours that could be holding back something that is good for the whole town.
I know.
So
And if other commissioners would come, we could probably do it.
Well, right now, we just don't have the votes, because the last time we did try to vote on this, and there were 5 commissioners who were either present or on the line, 2 of them voted no, 2 of them voted yes, and 1 abstained. Now, perhaps that'll be a different story come December, January, February. There's still savings to be had through a buyout. It doesn't have to happen before the end of the year, but it's just better for us because I know that you're going to keep track of our hiring. But if we do lose 4 or 5 guys to a buyout, and we're already down 2 right now,
2 and 1 on light duty.
2 on 1 on light duty, and that doesn't include the hole that we plugged with the new people.
No, they were for.
Yeah, so we're still down 2, let's say 2.5 guys, and then we take a buyout and we lose, or we send off another 4. Now we're 6.5 down from normal operation, and we can't fill them until 2021 anyway. So, and if we don't get a buyout approved before the next academy, then we miss that academy. We're rolling on overtime minus 6.5 through probably next June or July. So we up here would like to have all of the information in front of us and then make the decision about should we or shouldn't we not hire, and not roll into a forced situation, which is basically where we find ourselves right now. Because we don't know if a buyout's going to happen. We know there'll probably be maybe on average 1 to 2 retirements, maybe 3 next year, but we don't know when. We don't get that information. We just get surprised. Aha, last day is 2 weeks from now, and then
Right.
we don't get to hire, because we have an academy. It's not like hiring for a municipality. You just go onto the county list and hire a senior office assistant. Doesn't matter when. They have to do an academy. We have to hire them. We have to vet them. And it's a time process. I mean, even our guys, we hired them in July. They're not coming on till Christmas.
Right. A long process.
We're mindful.
If we have a buyout, I just want you to know this, because you mentioned it earlier, I would even hire. So, because it saves the residents money, it gets a younger force, though.
Our hope too was that if the buyout was to go through, he or she, whoever would take it, would have to give us that information by December 1, I think was the hope. And then we would have enough time to gauge what the savings would be in 21, how many to hire, and then move forward. Now, if we don't get the buyout, or we don't get a vote on the buyout until, let's say, a January meeting, we still have to give them a grace period to say, I'm going to take it, I'm going to retire by this date. It may or may not be flexible enough for us to put new people in the academy to cover them. So that's why we like to do it in advance.
Right.
Well,
Well, I hope you get to do it in advance.
hopefully.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, and we appreciate you coming. Please.
I'd just like to correct on one thing. Mr. Zuckerman said we have 5 commissioners. Unfortunately, we're supposed to have 5 commissioners, and we never do. It's the 3 of you every month. We could count on 2 fingers how many times we've had 5 commissioners at meetings. It's a shame. Business in the district has to get done, and it's not getting done because all the commissioners aren't here to vote and carry on the department business. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you may not agree that with the way we vote, but at least we are here doing that duty, right?
I have no problem with no.
Along those lines, I just want to dovetail on that. Isn't there anything in the law about when you can be declared a commissioner who has abandoned his position?
No, thankfully, elected officials have incredible protection under the New York State law. It would probably really upset you with the amount of money the district would have to spend in order to get someone removed from office. It's better off we hire.
In the spring, so they're available.
We'll pay the overtime.
Well, just to be on the record, it's comical and it's sickening. It is.
It is that. All right, so we had comments from the public. Any other duties?
No.
All right, so before we close the public session, a civilian asked me to do a summary, and of course, this is my first time, so I'll do the best I can with this. But this is what we accomplished today, and what we discussed about, and what we'll leave for later. And so we appointed 2 commissioners to a recruitment unit. Commissioner Keating and Commissioner Roach will now reach out to the community and see if we can't get more eligible candidates interested in participating in the next firefighter test. We estimate that to be 2023. Certainly, I'll reach out to Westchester County and see if they have any information or training material or recruitment material that they can give us that we can use. We're going to have a safety committee meeting, hopefully within the next 30 days. The Union and Safety Committee, which is Commissioner Keating, I have offered to take Chairman's Winter's place as Deputy Chairman if he chooses not to come because of exposure concerns. We purchased some things that the chief requested, the automatic recall from Motorola, so that in events of fires and emergencies, he can do an automatic recall to make sure that all of his members are safe. I had a question, I shouldn't waste time, but just think about it and you give me an answer later. When we have mutual aid companies actually respond to the scene, are they able to be added in almost immediately and so that they can be part of that recall when you do it?
If they have the correct radios, it has to be a Motorola ATX or higher, so it has to be a newer radio with digital programming. It doesn't transmit digitally, but it has to be able to send a digital signal to the accountability software. So Yonkers and Nourishville have them, I'm not sure about other departments.
And it'll be in the captain's car or the chief's car?
Well, there'll be two. There'll be one in the chief's
Oh, two,
car,
perfect.
one laptop in the captain's car. They'll be running the software.
Could you put together a brief protocol how it's supposed to be used at fires and emergencies set up?
There'll be an SOP. It'll be
Perfect.
from Motorola, and it'll be implemented properly.
Excellent. All right, so we did that. Obviously, we're going to have a safety committee meeting, Local 916. We'll get back to the commissioners about that date and what time. We got the niederman so that we're taking all the carcinogens to the best of our ability. Chester Heights, unfortunately, an incomplete report, but we'll get back to you. Fire elections, it seems that we dealt with that. We now have the polling officials have their pay, and our co-election officials understand what's expected of them and are continuing to do the job. And we'll get her the signed, notarized papers for Westchester County within the week. And then we've voted to make the 2023 test open to all county residents, and we will recruit and train any Eastchester residents who care to take that test, and anyone that comes to us will be accepted into the classes. Then we talked a little bit about hiring. Of course, hopefully if that does happen in the future, we'll have enough commissioners that will attend these meetings to let that happen. I hope that I didn't leave anything out.
Surplus the ladder truck. You gave me permission to surplus the ladder truck.
Right, okay, so old ladder 15 will now be surplus to the best of the chief's ability. And we voted that the village hall will be able to use Bronxville Firehouse for their, Bronxville Village will be allowed to use the Bronxville Firehouse for their election this spring, but we asked them to consider the needs of the firefighters and the request of Local 916 in seeking alternative properties in the future. So again, I want to make a motion to close this meeting.
I have a comment, Tom, before I go, before you close. Can I comment?
Sure, please.
So, as a new commissioner, a rookie commissioner, I never anticipated how much mentoring I would need, and Tom, you've supplied that. You've been unbelievable. And so I want to thank you for that. You've been unbelievably collegial, super fair, and unbelievably honest. So I personally want to say thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. And my family appreciates how what great mentoring you have given.
You are more than welcome, Brian. And Brian Keating has added so much to the board this year, but I wouldn't have been able to do for Brian what I was able to do for him if Stu hadn't done the same thing for me. Stu took me under his wing, and he taught me what it needs, what we have to look at, what we need to do. He's the ultimate professional, and I thank him, and so we both benefit.
It was pretty good, too.
And you know what, Brian? I have great suspicion that you're going to be mentoring our next fire commissioner, and that's going to be awesome. And you know, we look forward to everyone. The elections every December. Obviously, as Mr. Zuckerman said, I may have a conflict and won't be able to run in December of 2022. So please, any resident that thinks this is an awesome civic duty. It's a thankless job, I'll admit that, but you can feel good about yourself because you're helping the citizens of Eastchester and the Eastchester Fire Department be the most efficient and best fire department they can be. So anyhow, we'll close this meeting, we'll go into an executive session, I'll need you for 5 minutes, chief? Okay, so I have a second?
Executive session, sure.
We'll close the public meeting and enter into executive session shortly. All in favor, aye?
Aye.